So see if that'll work.
Did it work?
Okay, there we go.
Hey,
Yep.
hi, how you doing?
Hello.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Do you watch my channel?
I just started watching it because I wanted to get an update on Mary Whitmore as far as her case is concerned, and I came across your video where you were kind of scanning through her Facebook page
Yeah.
and everything, and I was like, oh wait a minute, she Mary's got pictures of herself holding my daughter in the pictures, and I could tell you the truth right now.
Yeah,
That's
tell me
when
that.
okay. That's when I first met Mary. I met Mary about a year ago. Uh, she was a mutual friend with now my husband. At the time, he was my fiance, and she was married to a mutual friend of my husband's, which is her ex-husband. His name is Daryl Sanders,
Okay.
and
Oh, something happened.
and
I can hear you now.
and everything. Okay.
I can hear you now.
Okay. So, whoops. So after that, like, they were friends for years, and then we had her husband staying with us here where we live at for a while. We had to kick him out because he wasn't contributing to the household. So that's when my husband came across her on Facebook again, and they started talking as friends. So, with me being married, I was like, okay, why is there a woman talking to him? Who's this woman? And she goes, oh, my name's Mary. I'm a friend. Your husband and I have been friends for years. I was like, okay. So she had invited me and my husband down to where she lived at with her mother, which her mother lives in the same town as me, but she lives like right over the train tracks. And when I got there, it was her friend Heather that you saw in the picture with their tongue sticking out. That was her friend Heather,
Okay.
and her mom. What's that? Oh yeah, her mom works for a company called Ajero. So when I got there, her mom was leaving, and we were just hanging out for a bit. And at that time, she was not dating TJ at all. She was dating somebody else by the name of Jarrett Reed, and he was staying. It was Mary and Jarrett staying with her mother. Then what had happened was, like I explained in the email, her boyfriend at that time that she was with, he ended up getting in trouble by the law because he took her personal vehicle and went to go do a drug deal with it, and he eluded the police.
Oh,
So around that time, she was going through a very rough time because after that, her mom had just turned around and did an eviction notice on her because her mom owned the home, and she's got like two kids, two kids, a son and a daughter. And she came over riding her bike. Mary did. Mary came over one day, and my husband and I, we were outside, and she's like, I got nowhere to go. My mom's kicking me out. The kids are going with their father. And I said, okay, let's talk about this. And my husband's like, listen, we felt bad for her. We took her in. She was doing really good. Like she's the type of person that always had a good ear to her. If something was bothering you, you could just sit down and talk to her, and she just listened. That's all what she did. I helped her get a job where I used to work at in Sebring, Florida, at a place called Save a Lot, and she was only there for a week um, because she didn't have a vehicle. She I think she had a driver's license at that time, but we only had a bicycle because my husband and I, we don't have a vehicle ourselves. And she rode a bicycle from here to the store, which was only a 10-minute bike ride. She started complaining to me that it was too far of a bicycle ride. And I said, well, the choice is yours. You can either stay with this job and have money in your pocket, or just, if it's not you, just quit. So she ended up quitting, and after a while, that's when she started to go a little bit downhill. Where while she had a boyfriend in jail, she would bring just strange men into our home around my daughter. So I knew around that time she was starting to get to be like a little bit on the depressed side and looking for that love and companionship. And um I even was nice enough to turn around and let her be a bridesmaid of my own wedding. And I got her dress, the things that she needed for it, you know, because I knew as a friend, she was going through a rough time and everything. And she helped us out. She even helped babysit my daughter. Um, when my husband and I needed like a date night or whatever, I said, "Hey, Mary, can you watch Molly for a few hours for us?" She's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And she always loved my daughter. Like my daughter was her world. Her nickname she gave to my daughter was her sweet little peach.
Oh,
So yeah, so my daughter always called her Aunt Mare and everything. And then as she started having different men come to my home, it got worse for her because you know, um, it got to the point where she was putting a strain on mine and my husband's engagement. And one day while I was gone, and I didn't think she would do this, but I was gone. I went to go try on my wedding dress, and she kind of made a few advances towards my husband.
oh,
And I came home from my wedding dress fitting, and my husband's like, "I need to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay." And I had my daughter, and I put her down, and we're talking outside, and he's like, "Listen, she's made several, like a couple advances towards me and everything." And it just, I kind of, few times I let it slide, but this time I was just like, "No, I can't deal
yeah,
with this." And that's when I had to kick her out because it was getting worse to where my husband was going to call the wedding off. And I said, we took you in out of the kindness of our hearts. I'm trying to help you in getting on your feet so you could be on your own. I said, I understand you're struggling with it. I said, but I can't have this in my home. So I had to kick her out of my home. And then one day around the time of my wedding, it was like she shows up, and I just had a little bit of a grudge towards her, just a little bit. And because she's made several threats to call state government on me. And I turned around and I told her to leave. And at that time, when I told her to leave, that was when she was just started dating TJ Wiggins. Um, and I saw him come out of this white pickup truck, comes out and he starts circling around. And then he started folding his hand, like crossing his arms, and he kept eyeballing me. And I told her, you know, I said, you got to go because I felt bad vibes off of him in the first place. And I was like, I can't. I said, listen, I wish I could talk to you more, but I can't. My husband has crossed paths with TJ before. My husband has crossed paths with Robert, his brother. Um, they're known to be women beaters, and things like that. I mean, and that's coming from a person that is a child, like a mother to Robert Wiggins kids. So, and it's been crazy, and it scares me because Mary's not known to be a bad person. She's not. There's an ounce of good in her. But when TJ came along, that's when she started acting funny, where it started to drugs, where it started as marijuana. And then from marijuana, it went a downward spiral to meth. He dragged her into those things. And it's scary because around that time when that happened, that's when the three boys showed the incident with the three boys. And my husband and I, we saw it in the newspaper about the three boys being killed here. And we're not that far from Frostproof. We're not. We're about a 45-minute drive. And next thing you know it, that weekend after, my husband just turns white as a ghost and he's looking at his phone. And I said, "What?" I said, "Don't tell me." And next thing you know it, I saw the picture of Mary, TJ, and Robert. And I thought it was photoshopped. So I went I started doing my investigation, looking through the news channels, and sure enough, in every one, her name was brought up. And I kind of got emotional because this is somebody that I trusted around my daughter. This is somebody who's a parent themselves and has children of their own. And it kills me as a parent because from one parent to another, I feel for those kids just like you in that video. I feel for those kids because she's missing a birthday, she's missing a holiday, she's missing them grow up. She's going to miss them for if they're graduating from 8th grade, if they're graduating from high school, she's going to miss all that because of somebody else's mistake.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like I said, she's not a bad person at all. She really isn't.
It just getting involved with that TJ and meth did it, huh?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
You can tell he's bad news. Very scary. When I looked up his record, I couldn't believe it.
230 convictions, and they all started at the age of 12. And you're like, okay. I thought my county where I live in Highlands County, Florida. I thought my county was corrupted. It's like the whole system is corrupted. It's like you let somebody out like that. You let a monster out like that. Why would you turn around and just let him roam the streets, knowing that he could just out of the blue, one minute he's fine and next minute he snaps completely. So
he did more than just snap. I'm telling you. So Mary, how long did you know Mary?
I've known Mary for about 2 years.
She has 2 kids, not 3.
If I remember, I saw she could have 3 because I thought I saw 2 because they used to come over here and they used to hang out and have play dates with my daughter here for her visitation. There was one time, truthfully, where the father of her children, his name is Will Wheaton, he showed up here and they got into an argument, and he just took the car seat, both like all the children's car seats, and threw them at her. And I had to step outside and I said, listen, I live in an apartment complex, so I had to step outside and be like, listen, you're not going to argue here. If you're going to argue, you take that somewhere else. And he said a few choice of words to me, and Mary stepped in and goes, listen, you don't have to be disrespectful towards her. They're being kind enough to take me in when I had nowhere else to go. And my husband had to step in and say, listen, that's it. If he can't respect what we're trying to do here, then you shouldn't be seeing him here at our house. You got to go somewhere else and meet him. So, I mean, like I said, at the time she had a boyfriend that was in jail. They talked about getting married at some point, but it didn't work out. And then while he was in jail, she was kind of like seeing other men and everything, and she was bringing them here. They would hang out, and then after that she would leave. So, and she mostly either finds them in public or on dating apps like Plenty of Fish and everything.
Wow, that's crazy. So after her and her husband got divorced, and obviously he got custody of the kids, right?
No, like the kids that she has now don't belong to Daryl. They don't. They belong to her. The original father is Will Wheaton, so they have custody of the kids right now. Will Wheaton has them.
Oh, okay.
So
from there on, she kind of like went downhill.
She did.
Losing her kids. Well, no, she got visitation though, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. What's that?
Well, as for the picture of your little girl, I will fix that, okay? I thought that was one of her kids.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I mean, like I've even posted about her on Facebook on my personal page, and I said, listen, before that she wasn't really a monster at all. Like she wasn't at that time when I met her, and she was just like, oh Susan, hey sis, let's go do this and let's go do that, and I'm like, yeah, and then as soon as she got here, it's just, she was fine, and then it took like a turn for the worst. And sometimes I told my husband, I said, I wonder what would have happened if we would have let her stay here a little bit longer. You think she would have fixed herself? And my husband's answer was like, if she didn't if she didn't meet up with TJ, yeah, she would have done really well for herself, you know.
What a shame. I bet you were in shock to see that, huh? On the news.
It brought me and my husband shocked because this is somebody that my husband has been friends with since he was 18. And it was like they had the type of close bond that him and Mary had was a brother and sister type of thing, where she saw him as this like annoying little brother, so to speak, but they joked around like, I wish I had, like, I think I deleted them after I stopped talking to her. I even did TikTok videos where her and we were sitting next to each other, and we're just doing the sound clips and everything, and we had a really good time. She was even nice enough to, help me with my arrangements for my own wedding. And it's just, for her to change in a matter of like months or whatever, and try to wedge herself between me and my husband, it was like I thought, what did I do wrong for her to turn around and do that? Or if she saw me a threat because of the fact my husband was marrying me, or out of jealousy, she would, something that she wished that she could have had.
Oh, crazy.
So I mean, it's just, like I said, Mary's a good girl. She really is. But it's the people, the company that she brings along beside her that drags her down with her.
Well, you pretty much know those boys then that murdered
Yeah.
Brandon, Kevin, and Damien, and they're bad news around there.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there were times where Mary always had my back. She always did. And she would make sure that if I go to the store, she even went with me, so that way I didn't travel alone with my daughter. And we just talked in the store, and we would always come home, and my husband would be like, oh great, they're plotting, the women are in the house plotting, and her and we laughed. Like I have so many good memories of her, that it's just looking at Mary in a jail photo, it's like you're trying to tell yourself it's real, but your mind doesn't want to accept that fact.
Especially if she wasn't that type of person. But meeting up with that TJ, how long were they together before this happened?
Okay, so my husband and we got married October 5th, 2018, and she yeah, she got together with him around the time my husband and we were getting married. That's when she started being around him. And how she met him was through Robert Wiggins' baby mother, as she was staying with her after we had kicked her out. She was still living in the same complex in the back, and um, they were hanging out together in that same apartment and everything. And they just, I guess they just hit it off. So I wasn't expecting her to like move so far away, especially that her mom lives down here, her kids live down here. Um, she has some friends that live down here. I wouldn't have expected her to move into, and see, this is, I I play the conference of what Grady Judd was saying over and over and over again, and I'm like, a compound. You were in a compound where you were running off of you were completely off of the grid, and then you know they find, it's just like, how are you able to survive all those months out there living off of generators in a trailer in a compound?
And no running
So
water.
and no running water
Yeah,
either.
yuck. That whole family's dysfunctional. They all look scary. They all should be locked up.
Yeah, my husband has crossed paths with TJ once before, and they just exchanged looks, and that's all it was. And they had my husband said they did have words, and it's just my husband's that type of person where he could read people right off the bat, and he turned around and told TJ, "Listen, I could tell right off the bat you're a bad person."
Mhm.
And my husband didn't like him.
Your husband told him that?
Yeah, and he
Wow.
said right to his face, "I don't like women beaters." Because
Okay.
that's what TJ is. TJ is. He's got domestic battery on his record and everything. So
Did he hurt Mary at all? Did he beat her?
I don't know if he would hurt Mary, you know, but if he's the type that would just snap on somebody faster than you could shake a whip, I wouldn't put it past him.
Wow. So that
It's
that store that they're at, is that a dollar store, Safeway store where they were stocking
that
baby?
yeah, down here we have Family Dollars and Dollar Generals, and we do have like um one Dollar Tree down here, like one or two of them, and that was a Dollar General they went in. And here's the thing: if you pay attention closely to the footage, you see Mary go in, and as she goes in, I noticed that she kind of like scopes the place out a little bit and then leaves.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah,
But she came back in though,
yeah,
which
and
was
and,
weird.
and I just wish that day I was a fly on the wall in that Dollar General, because then you could hear you'd be able to hear what they're talking about, and it's insane because as soon as the one guy left to go in the truck and he went to go meet up with his buddies at the lake, TJ and Robert were like, "Okay, they're going to the lake." And honestly, in my opinion, if I was Robert and I was the driver of that vehicle, I would have questioned TJ. Granted, if he was my brother, I don't care. I would have questioned my own brother and I would have said, "Why are we going to the lake?"
Yeah, I
I
know.
would have questioned it. You know, I don't care. I don't care who you are. I'll listen. You want to go somewhere? There's got to be a reason why you want to go there. And then it's like all because he got mad at Kevin because of a truck deal. A truck deal. Like where's my truck? Where's my truck? You sold the engine out of my truck. Like that just and if Kevin doesn't know, Kevin had to be mind blown because he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So from the sounds of it, TJ was high that night
He had to be high that night.
to do something like that. So Mary,
Yeah.
was Mary sitting in the car or
Okay. Like I said, I've been listening to the whole press conference. It's on YouTube and everything. And he says that, um Grady Judd said that TJ was the first one to get out of the vehicle. And then after that, then he went around one of the vehicles. He drops he drops a magazine on the ground, can't find it, and then when he goes to open the door, it's just like one of them falls out and he finds the magazine. So, you know, and it's kind of scary too at that point, just picturing it like a whole massacre in your head. And I feel bad for the father, and if he's going to be watching this video, I am so sorry for your loss. And my prayers are with you. I mean, I'm a parent, and just trying to think about that. If that happened to my own child, I don't know what I would do. Honestly, I don't know what I do. You know, and it's scary too, getting a phone call from your own child of saying, "Dad, help me, Dad, help me, help me." His last words.
yeah, that was heartbreaking.
It
Did,
was.
did you know Brandon, Damien, or Kevin?
No, I don't know Brandon. The only one who I know personally is Mary. And
Okay.
like I said, I've been trying to I've been trying to dig a little bit further of what went on with, you know, her hearing and everything. I know that they were doing a court order for her to do an interview with a private attorney that they got her and everything. So I just hope she does the right thing and speaks up. I know she loves TJ, but the thing is he's hindering her more than he can help her.
Well, yeah, and he's getting the death penalty for this.
Yeah, and yeah, and the thing is if she doesn't speak up and say something, then she follows along with it as well. And it's like trying to trying to grasp this fact because you're losing a friend because of what they got themselves involved in. It's like it's like you really want to go don't want to go there, but you have to sometimes.
Have have you reached out to Mary to talk to her?
I've tried on several occasions and everything, so but I am gonna try to get to see if I could get through with her and say, hey, listen, um I know we had our differences, but I think you need somebody to talk to right about now. Like
Yeah,
I don't know if her mom talks to her or anything like that. I don't know if right now I think because of COVID they have like visitation on hold. So, and I want to tell her how her little peach Molly is doing. So, my husband, I'm not going to force him. He's on the fence of whether or not he wants to.
yeah.
So,
Well,
because he's known her longer than me.
you guys sound like really good people, and it sounds like Mary was at one time. And I'm just saying, because you got to see both sides of it in a sense to get to know the people. And maybe if someone like you would contact Mary and talk to her, maybe she will turn on TJ. You know, he's
I
not doing nothing for her.
I want her to, honestly, because like I said, he's hindering her more than he can help her. And at this point, the only way to help herself is to break herself away from TJ and say, I'm sorry, you know, I'm against you and I need to do what's best for me. I have children waiting for me on the outside. And it just to think about it, even if she's still in there and they're by the time they're teenagers, I wouldn't want any kid to grow to hate their own parent, but I could see that coming for her if she doesn't help herself in the long run.
Yeah,
So,
very sad situation.
it is, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, they label her as like I've seen it all over YouTube now. They have her labeled as a monster." And the only one who was able to say, "Listen, there's there's got to be another side to her before TJ. If somebody would speak up, now would be the time." I came across your channel with my husband, and I said, "See, maybe she sees maybe she sees another side of Mary like I do." So
I
you
did.
know,
And I think I said that in one of my videos. I find it hard to
yeah,
believe. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if any of her other friends would speak up for her. Like her friend Heather, she always says Heather is her best friend. So she has her on Facebook, and that was the girl with the glasses that you saw standing next to her.
Yeah.
Um, her mom lives here in Sebring. She lives in a trailer home that was given to her by her family, and that's where Mary was living at. And it was like out in the mid, kind of like out in the middle of nowhere. So you needed a car just to get to the store where they were at. So I mean, it was great when she was here. There were times where she slept out in our living room, so my husband would walk right past her, and it would be funny because she'd go to him, she'd go, "What are you looking at?" And he goes, "Well, I'm not looking at anything," and they start laughing, and I'll just listen on the other wall, and I'll just start laughing in the bedroom, and she goes, "Oh, what's the comment from the peanut gallery over there?" I said, "Nothing." I said, "I'm just listening to you guys just joke back and forth, and that's about it." So, um,
How
and
long,
and it, excuse me.
I'm sorry. How long did she live with you?
Um, she was here. Okay, my daughter was 9 months old. Uh, yeah, 9 months old when she met her. So I'd probably say she was here for about uh 11 to 12 months because I've known her for about a year or two.
Yeah, she was there a long time. So you really
Yeah,
got to get to know her. And there
yeah,
is
I did. I
reflection.
got to know her a little bit. Yeah,
And there, if she lived with you, you got to know her more than most people and what she was dealing with. And then once she met this creep, TJ, she just fell apart, it sounds like.
yeah. And the thing is like with her too, when she was living with me, if something was bothering her, whether it was a guy, she would always get a guy's perspective on it from my husband. So he would always tell her, "Listen, my husband is brutally honest. He's straight to the point, doesn't sugarcoat things. That he just gets to the point." And he goes, "Listen, this is how you have to do it." And um, she got the idea of it, um, and was able to tackle her own problems after she got advice from my husband. So I didn't care whether or not she talked to my husband for advice or to give suggestions. Like sometimes the suggestions that she had weren't to my liking, but I still listened to what she had to what she had to say. So
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So I mean, I want to reach out to news channels and say, hey, listen, she's not like this at all. She really isn't. It's like I said, misery loves company. So if they're miserable, they're gonna bring Mary down with them.
Oh,
There
yeah.
isn't a way around it.
Are they still talking about it on the news there? Because I
They
just
still
did an
talk about
update.
it. Yeah, they still talk about it.
Did you? Okay.
They still talk about it. And last time I heard, I think they were taking it to trial. So unfortunately, I can't be there, and because of COVID down here, everything's done virtually. So Um, I'm gonna check online to see if after her trial what they plan on doing with her. I hope it's not the death sentence. I really hope it's not with her because she's so young. So
Yeah, she's what, 26?
yeah,
Yeah,
26.
crazy. Just a
Oh
baby.
yeah.
To me, just a baby.
Oh
I'm a
yeah, she's
baby.
still a baby. Mary's still a baby. And of course, here's the thing because I know this is typical of Mary. They turned around. Grady Judd said at one point that she started talking and she was like, "Yeah, I bought him the round." When he brought that up, when she admitted, said, "Yeah, I bought those gun rounds and everything
Oh, she
from
did.
Walmart." Yeah, she admitted it, and
Oh,
and Grady Judd was like, "Listen, um, we saw that too. We have the surveillance for that. We have the receipt. The receipt was left in the vehicle." And I'm sitting there like, "Oh my God, Mary, what are you doing?"
oh, yeah. That's where they get the conspiracy also.
Oh my goodness.
That's
And
crazy.
then,
I forgot about
and,
that.
oh yeah, and then she goes, "Oh yeah, we were at McDonald's the night that those three boys got killed. They were at the McDonald's. Okay, they ordered 10 double cheeseburgers and two McChickens." Now I know the two McChickens are from Mary because she always ate those 24/7 here. But I was sitting there, I was like, "Why would you go to McDonald's right after you killed somebody?"
Right.
And
Oh, yuck.
oh yeah, and then TJ tells both of them, "We weren't there."
Yeah.
Like
I can't
it's
recall. How long were they on the run or in hiding, I should say,
they
before they
were in
found him?
they were in hiding. Okay, because like I kicked her out in 2018 from my home, so I'd say about 2019, about 2 years, about a year, maybe two.
No, after the murders.
Yeah,
Where did they went in hiding, didn't they? To a compound,
yeah,
right?
yes, to compound, yes.
And it only took what, a couple weeks for them to find them, or I'm trying to
No,
recall.
I mean, Yeah, I mean they were hiding out for a few days, and then Robert takes the vehicle that they were in. Robert takes that vehicle back to the family member he borrowed it from, and they saw red mud on the vehicle, and the relative said, "I thought you were going to Avon Park or Sebring." Now, here's the thing: to my knowledge, the only ones who she knows in Sebring are me and my husband, her friend Heather, her mom. Her mom lives in Sebring, and I believe her kids live here in Sebring, or they probably could live in Avon Park. So that's the only reason why she could be down here. Um, and
Well,
then after that, like, Robert takes the vehicle to a car wash, and the three of them wash off the evidence, which I could see the tampering side of that. But I come to find out too that Mary also helped TJ and Robert put the bodies in the back of the truck, and I'm like,
oh my
and
God.
then helped him dispose the weapon, and I'm like,
Oh,
Mary, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, it's like her fingerprints are all over that gun,
what was she thinking?
and
They had to be high on meth to do something like
she
this.
had to be.
Yeah,
She had to be because when she was here with living with me and my husband, she was never on drugs. Never. She was she was sober.
that's
My
sad.
husband and I, we do not allow meth users in our home. As soon as we see the first signs of meth, we're like, I'm sorry, we can't have that around my daughter. We can't.
Yeah, your
So
daughter's precious, by the way. Your
thank you.
daughter's precious.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. My daughter was like 9 months old when Mary was holding her in those pictures. She she is now three. My daughter's now 3 years old. So, and she asks us about Mary a lot, and she goes, Aunt Mary Mary, Aunt Mary Mary, and I'm like, I can't tell her that yet. I can't tell her because she's only 3 years old. So,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
what does your husband think about all this? His good friend
what
doing
does
this or being a part of
what does
this?
my husband think, babe? What do you think of Mary doing all this?
I mean, a close
He
friend.
doesn't know. It's like that's kind of like his sister.
Yeah,
And
you're saying.
when he first saw the pictures, he turned, like I said, he turned white and he just dropped his phone. And I said, what? And I pick it up and I was like, Mary. And then I looked at the all the articles. I was like, no, no. And I had to stop myself. I was like, no way. This is a dream. Let me pinch myself. And he goes, no, she got herself in with those three boys. I was like, oh, great. I was like, oh my God. And then when Grady Judd was going through the process, I was like, oh my God, Mary. And she was like, yeah, I was at the Dollar General. Yeah, I bought him the gun rounds. And then Mary realizes, okay, she's incriminating herself. And then afterwards shuts right up and says, I want a lawyer. And I'm like, oh my God, Mary, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Oh my God. It's it's just insane. I would have said I want a lawyer right off the bat, or
yeah,
turn around and say, he forced me into it. I could see him forcing her, honestly, because he seems the type. So he could have turned around and told her, "Listen, you're gonna do this or else."
yeah. He's very scary. And after looking up his record like I did, I don't know why that man was walking the streets. I mean, like you said, corruption, but people that afraid of him, do they have that power, that family? Because his dad's bad news too.
Yeah, my husband saw that video too, where right after TJ got picked up for the murder of those three boys, uh, I think my husband said a couple of days after his father got picked up.
Yep, I did a video on that too.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was just,
See all four of them? Look at all
I
four
was
of
like,
those
oh my
people.
God.
They were all wigged out. What's wrong with those people?
Mary, when you start like skimming through her Facebook a little bit more, you see she was a very pretty girl. She really was.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I noticed that.
there were times here where she would turn around and she'd go, hey Susan, don't get mad at me, but can I borrow your makeup so I could get all dolled up? And I'm like, no, go ahead. My makeup's at your disposal. And she would turn around and put eyeshadow on, eyeliner, the works. And I'm like, oh, look at you. Where are you going all snazzy and dolled up? She goes, oh, I'm just because. I was like, okay. And then there were times when she was with her boyfriend Jarrett, she would get dolled up for him to go see him on a jail visit. And I'm like, oh, look at you looking all nice. Where are you going? And she goes, oh, I'm gonna go see Jarrett for a little bit. I'm like, okay. Because where I live right down the street from Highlands County Jail. So it was about a 5 minute walk. So she walked from here to the jail, and she just sat in front of a screen and on the phone talking to her boyfriend Jarrett at the time. Then I don't know if they took in pictures of her tattoos yet. On one of her arms, she has like the logo of the male buck with the doe in the shape of a heart, and it says Jarrett's name and her name on it, and the date
Oh,
they got together.
I seen that. I seen that.
I was there with her the day she got it done, because that very same day, I got a tattoo of my daughter on me done the very same day.
Okay.
So because everybody's like, oh well, prove it that you know this girl. I'm like, okay, here you go. There's pictures of her holding my daughter. Here's something with me with her getting her tattoo done, and I got mine done on the same day. So you know, because you got some people that are just about the publicity about it, and they pretend to be friends with her, but then you got her true friends that know what she's like. Like I knew what the right off the bat what bothered her the most, what she was happy about, and everything. Like she even liked the fact of mine and my husband's company, just sitting out here and hanging out with her and talking and everything. Like she had her own bed and she sat here on the bed, and we would sit on the bed with her and talk to her and everything. We were even nice enough to when she moved in, she got her kids like this small little white puppy. She named it Snow, and that puppy got along with my Jack Russell that I have here. They were playing and everything. So um which she was very grateful about. And I told her that really wasn't a problem at all.
Yeah.
So, you know, um she's that type of girl where she does not like being alone. She gets very, very lonely.
Was that why she went from man to man to man like that? Like when her
Yeah.
boyfriend got locked up?
My husband and I, we think that's the reason why she jumped from man to man to man, was to find that companionship. Not only that, for somebody to be loyal to her, um and she wanted that company, and she wanted that love from them. So we think that's what she wanted.
Wow, it's crazy.
Mhm.
But I do my best to cover cases. Now this is high profile. And if
Right.
you watch my videos, you know I don't look for attention. I don't do that. I just put out
No.
information about different cases, but certain ones I'll do updates on. Now, like you seen, I did that one. She was in court February 2nd. I like to put out facts, so I wait till I see the record. But he has,
Right.
I think it's March 12th. I'm going to see what's happening with him. So I'll do my best. And you know what? I can contact you privately with things too. Okay.
Okay.
I'll do that also.
I mean, I'm not that type where I don't mind being open with the public and everything and speaking like this, because you know at least if they get to view your videos, at least they know what Mary was like, coming from somebody else's perspective, and say, okay, well, she was a friend of Mary, so she knows what she was like before Tony Wiggins got a hold of her.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's really an important part of it too. I always wonder how one person, people say that that's not them, and then something horrible like this happens. What happened in between that time? You know what I mean? What led up to it? A good person to do an evil act like that.
And I think Tony's the type of person to be very manipulative. Just looking at him, I know right off the bat where I'm like, okay, he probably manipulated her to go and do that with him. Like, you know what I mean? Like sit there and be like, okay, well, you need to do this with me, and that's that. And I just wish that night she would have just turned around and got on the phone with me and my husband, and we could have found her help. And she would, we tried to as much as we could, and she tried looking for help for herself. Now she would have called us that night of the whole massacre before it even happened. She would been like, guys, I'm in the worst way, and TJ's not acting right, and I need help. And my husband and I, we would have gotten together and we would have found somebody to help her out of that situation, and that would have been prevented. It would have all been prevented.
Yeah. I wonder if it was premeditated. Obviously, no, it had to be.
If it was premeditated, like I think it was because for him to sit there and keep repeating the same thing over and over again, that had to be like brewing inside his mind,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden,
it could be premeditated even up to 5 minutes before it happens. I mean, look at they were stalking Damien at that General Dollar store.
yeah, like he was just sitting, and the thing is like Frostproof. From what I found out, I've never lived in Frostproof, but from what I heard from Frostproof, especially with Grady Judd, like it's a small little town of 3,500 people, which is not much if you look at it, and it's like everybody knows everything and everybody knows your business.
Yeah.
So the clerk in that store knew Damien, and he probably knew TJ and Robert too. If he worked in that area, then he's from that area. And Damien was just talking to the store clerk and said, "Oh, we're going fishing." And it looked like on the video that TJ was having a suitable conversation with him. And then after they left, that's when he must have told, Robert, get in the truck, we're going to the lake.
Yeah.
And like I said, I would have questioned his butt at that point and been like, why are we going to the lake? Like, and I would have said no. I would have been like, listen, no, if we're going to Avon Park and Sebring, then we need to get there because I'm borrowing this vehicle from somebody else.
Crazy.
And Robert is so young, 21, and the only thing he has on his record is a misdemeanor, and now he just ruined the rest of his adult life.
Well, yeah, and he got out on bail, and I think it was in August.
Yeah.
But then he got
Mhm.
locked back up because he was talking to his brother on the phone in code. They were talking in
Yeah.
code. It's
Oh
crazy.
yeah. It is crazy and everything. And Robert, before he went up there with his brother, Robert used to turn around and live here where I lived at. And it was him, his baby mother, and the kids. And I remember when his baby mother came running to my door one day, and she's pounding on the door, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And she goes, you need to call 911. And I was like, why? She goes, Robert took my kids. He took off with them. And I was like, okay. So she called 911, and my husband and I, we stayed out there with her until the cops arrived. And when they finally showed up, um, they they questioned her and everything, and then the Robert finally comes back with the kids, and it's just it gets you mad because it's like you argue with the mother of your child, and then you take the kids without her knowing. Like she's going crazy and everything, and my husband and I were trying to calm her down, and then an hour later he beats up on her, and me and my husband, we look down on that. We do, because I don't condone that. I was in two abusive relationships myself, so as a survivor of that, I don't deal with that too well. So when my husband saw him and he's standing outside, Robert was like, "What? You got something to say?" And my husband goes, "Yeah, I don't like women beaters or child kidnappers." And I kept quiet and stood back from a distance, and Mary was here at the time, and she's like, "Are you going to say something, Susan?" I said, "No, because somebody needs to tell him."
Yeah. And a
So
man needs to tell him, which a man did.
yeah, my husband,
Yeah.
thankfully. So, and my husband and I, we've been married for 3 years now. Um, been together for 6 years and got engaged for one. So,
Well,
and
congrats.
I'm glad. I wake up every day, and I'm glad that I could wake up and not have to deal with a lifestyle that's like that, because that's something I don't even want my own daughter around. And I'm glad that, she has somebody, both people in her lives that, kind of shelter her from that that type of drama and everything. She still is not going to be able to comprehend about the whole boys getting killed and why her Aunt Mary got involved. So we sheltered her from that.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, so
I'm sure it's got to be hard on you guys.
it is, it affects more of my husband than anything, because like I said, he's known her since he was 18. So, and my husband moved out here from Modesto, California. So
Oh, okay. All right.
when he met her, he was like, "Oh my God, you gotta meet my friend Mary. She's awesome and everything." And I meet her in person. I say, "You know what? She is awesome. Like she's got that energetic attitude and then that enthusiasm and everything. But when everything starts turning for the worst, she just completely shuts down." So
That's really sad.
yeah. So um, if she was here, if she was still here now, I think she would be talking to both me and Cody, asking at the time, like, if she was here, she'd be asking what she should do about TJ. And my husband's opinion, he'd be like, "Well, kick him to the curb. You don't need to be around somebody like that." you know and not only that, she had a job. When I heard her first hearing, um she they said, "Do you have a job?" And she had a job on top of it, and it's like, "Oh, well, kiss that goodbye. That just went out the window."
Yeah.
So, she had everything going for her and everything. And I don't know how TJ could sleep at night knowing what he did.
Because he's a monster.
Yeah.
He's just plain evil.
Yeah. Even Grady Judd said he's evil in the flesh.
Oh yeah. He was born
Oh,
that
yeah.
way. That one wasn't created.
Yeah. And I honestly, in my opinion, I wish Grady Judd was sheriff from my town and everything,
He's amazing.
because he's awesome. He's just awesome. I love how he just like he throws a little bit of shade in, like with TJ, Robert, and Mary. He was like, "Well, duh," and I couldn't help but laugh. And I'm like, "Listen, this is supposed to be a serious time, and I'm not supposed to be laughing." But it's like he adds his little bit of like antidote of comedy in there to the whole thing. And it's crazy too, because I had to go to Kissimmee for a medical appointment. And the driver that took me up there, on the way home, we had to cut through Frostproof to get back to where I'm from. And we went right past that area, the
Really.
area where they were killed at. Yeah. And they have a memorial there with flowers, crosses, posters, everything you could think of. And the arms on my hair and just stood straight up, and I had goosebumps, and I just got the chills, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is where it happened and everything." So it's like right out there by the entrance of it.
Right by the entrance, huh?
Mhm.
That close to the road? The
Yeah.
road?
Yeah. And then we drove right past the Dollar General where it all started. And it's like, at a Dollar General, really? You couldn't start it anywhere else, but
But
it's
was
kind of it was
that Dollar General, how far away was it from the lake?
I'd probably say uh I'd probably say about 10 to 20 minutes. Because the way everything is in Frostproof is it's like farmland.
Oh,
That's
okay.
yeah, um, parts of Florida we have like farmland. We do get gators down here every now and then. Um, but mostly it's people that have like cows and horses
I didn't
and
know Florida
everything.
had cows and horses.
Yep. My husband,
Good.
when I first met him, he was working as a ranch hand for his landlord on an alpaca farm.
Okay.
So, you know, and I it's funny because I've always seen myself as like a normal girl getting married to somebody who lives a normal life, and I'm like, everybody goes, oh, well, you married a ranch hand, and I'm like, yeah, so I like the idea, don't get me wrong. They're like, oh, but you're around alpacas and they spit and sneeze and bite. I'm like, no, they're very sweet and everything. They're kind as they can be, but sometimes they could be real funny. They have their own little moments, each and every one of them. So, and I think Mary knew Cody, my husband Cody, back then, when he was living on the alpaca farm. So, and she also knew my mother-in-law at that time, and this is before I came into the picture. So, we kind of told my mother-in-law out in California what happened, and she's she's kind of sad about it because she really liked Mary and everything. So,
That's
she
so
considers
sad.
Mary as a daughter. So, and I considered Mary as my own sister, and I still do from time to time. I do. You know, it's just, if there was anything that I could have prevented, I could have turned, like, if I had her on Facebook, I would have said, listen, if you want, you come over here, spend time with your kids here and everything before you go anywhere with TJ. I think she's learned her lesson at this point. So
I hope so. I hope she talks to save her
I
son
hope she talks too.
and
She needs to say it to herself.
to help that family get
I
justice.
mean,
They will get
I'm,
justice for a fact.
they will. They will. And the thing is like, people ask. I've been asked by people today as I've been out and about in public, and they're like, if you had anything to say to Mary now, what would you or your husband say? I said, honestly, my thing is, and I know she'll probably look back on this if they let her out, that, Mary, what are you doing? What are you doing? You just buried yourself the first two times. You don't need to be around this person. They're negative toward, like, very negative energy on that point. Um, 230 counts of things, not a good company to keep. Um, you know, there's love out there for you. If I would say that to Mary, there's love out there for you. You don't need to go looking into the wrong places for it. You just be yourself, just like how you were with me and Cody. Be yourself, and that's how I would tell her. So,
Yeah.
you know, she's a good friend. Like I said, she's a good friend. She really is. You
Really,
know, I
like really good people.
hmm
Because a
she
lot of
is.
people, they probably wouldn't even admit that they know her. But you know a different Mary from what
I
we
do.
see.
I do, and I've even asked some of her friends in high school how she was, and they're like, "Oh, well, she was a troublemaker in high school. I didn't talk to her much, and everything." And I'm like, "Troublemaker, huh? That's not the Mary that I saw. That's not really." So, and she has the utmost respect for my husband too. So,
Great.
and we really do care. She doesn't think that we care about her, but in all aspects we do. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
and
is there
and
anything
that
else you want to say about
um
her
you know
or
anything I wanted to say about her is she's the type of person that will give you the shirt off her back. And the last food that she has, excuse me, if she has it, but you have nothing, she'll give it to you. Like even with my daughter, like there were times when my daughter was she was just learning how to eat solid foods, and she was getting fussy. She used to take her McChicken and break it in half and give it to my daughter Molly, and they shared that way. So my daughter has gotten a very close bond with her as well. And I know when she gets out, it's going to be a lot on her in general. I don't care about the other two. I just care more about her than anything. And I know with being out and about now that the media like kind of like depicts her as a monster, she's going to have to be prepared if she ever comes out into the real world that that's what people are going to label her as,
Oh, yeah.
even if she tries to prove that she's not. So,
It'll give her
and that's
some credibility if she works with the state to convict TJ.
I want her to. Mary, please, please, if you know, if somebody that knows Mary is listening in on this, somebody's got to get her to speak up, and she's got to leave TJ. She really does. So like speak up, speak up. Don't incriminate yourself anymore.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the victims' families or anything?
To the
Yourself?
victim families, honestly, kind of feeling that sinking feeling. I'm sorry of what was done to your children. Um, I know how it feels to lose somebody that you're very close to, like not in the circumstances that you went through, but I know what it's like to lose a loved one. And you don't want their last words to be, you know, help me, help me, help me. And it's scary thinking about that. And I'd like to send my prayers to those families, to those three families. And, um, I know that talking about Mary and how she was with me is not going to help the matter. And I know you have your opinions and your feelings are valid. And, you know, I hope you guys find the help that you're looking for and the justice that you're looking for. Um, and my prayers and my family's prayers are always going to be with them no matter what. I mean, because I know what it's going to be like. You're not going to be able to, experience having grandchildren and being able to, not have grandchildren. It's emotional because you lost a piece of you. Nobody. I agree with Grady Judd what he said. The worst part about nobody wants to bury their child, and how we think of it is as parents we always think that we're supposed to be buried before our children,
Yeah.
but to bury your child before you pass on, that's scary. And not having the funds to pay for their funeral is even more scary.
Yeah.
It really is at this point. And if anybody can help them out, that'd be really great. Like send a donation like on I
We
know
got the
they have it on
GoFundMe.
Cash App. Yeah.
Yep. We got GoFundMe's too.
Yeah, they have GoFundMe's,
Yeah.
Cash App, Venmos, things like that. To Grady Judd, you're an amazing sheriff. I wish you were a sheriff in my town. um, be, because in my
I like
opinion,
little humor in this, though. You got to have I mean, I don't know how the victims feel, but when you're always like reporting or doing true crime,
yeah,
you have to have some humor in it.
yeah, Grady Judd, you're the best sheriff that Polk County has. I wish you were a sheriff from my county. Um, I and I'm glad that you were able to take on the case with those three boys. Um, and they deserve justice. Um, please don't let TJ walk out into this world. Please don't, because you're unleashing something that shouldn't even be unleashed. You know,
Yeah.
he deserves to be he deserves to be put away for what he did. And getting two people involved that shouldn't, well, of course Robert's going to follow his brother no matter what. But getting somebody involved that didn't really need to, and everything, that's insane, just insane out of the whole thing. And I just wish to the families they could you know, see it from both sides and everything. You know, that Mary didn't mean any harm to them, that she wasn't even involved in the majority of it, like, I think. And just to see where Mary's coming from with it, you know,
Yeah.
maybe she was forced into doing it. So that's the only thing I could say.
Well, yeah, we'll find out more during the trial and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay, I want to thank you, and you can reach out to me anytime. I appreciate you reaching out to me. What was I going to say? Like, if I find out any more, I'll email you.
Okay.
What else did I want to tell you? I'm sorry. There was something else.
Okay.
I'll fix that situation with your daughter. Make sure people know that's not her daughter too.
Yeah. Yeah. The pictures I sent you in the email that the little baby she was holding, that's my daughter. So.
Yeah, that was my mistake. I'm so sorry. Usually I'm pretty good about fact checking because, I'm a nobody. I don't have a production team. I do my research myself. I do it as a hobby. I'm a mom, and I like to put out facts, because if you're going to report this kind of stuff, you better come with, don't give false, what's the word? See, I don't even know how to talk right, but anyways, yeah. But you and your husband are amazing friends to her. She's lucky to have you.
Thank you. I just hope I'm able to get in touch with her and say, hey, listen, I kind of did something that's good enough for you, for that matter, and everything. Because I don't see, at this point, I don't see any of the rest of her friends, stepping up to bat for her. The only ones pretty much that would be me and my husband both. So, and I took the liberty upon myself to to be like, you know what, here, this is how I saw Mary. This is how she was when, we've hung out as friends. So, and like I said, the way the media is, like, they're ripping her to shreds, like, oh, she's a monster. She's not a monster. She's not. The one who's a monster that you should be pointing fingers at is TJ. He's the monster. Don't look at her as the monster. He is. And at this point, I don't care what, if the media gets a hold of this, I don't care. They could think what they want to think about me, but it's like you weren't there to experience what type of person she was before she met him. So it's like, who are you to judge?
Yeah, I understand that part. Yeah, definitely.
So,
okay, and I just want to make sure, double check that I have permission to share our conversation.
Yes, you have permission.
Make sure. Yeah, I told you I'm honest like that.
Right.
But I'm going to do some little researching for you, because I can find out something for you. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Tell your husband I said hi.
Hey, babe. Kit Kat says hello. He says hi.
Have a good one, man. And thank you for
You
reaching
too.
out to me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. I'll get this up so people can know the other side of Mary.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hold on here. Let me figure this out. All right.
I slay, I slay, all day, I slay.